Wow, okay. That trade just happened. The San Francisco Giants now have Rafael Devers, one of the best hitters in baseball, pretty much out of nowhere. I've been thinking about this for a couple of hours since the trade happened, and my mind is blown. I'm sure yours is too, Giants fans. I just want to record some of my thoughts on this because there's a lot. First of all, this trade makes the Giants better right now. I'm going to talk about some of the downsides, but he's one of the best hitters in baseball. He makes the Giants better right now. He makes the Giants relevant to the national media that's been ignoring us for a while right now. So I like this trade, and it's hard not to like it because you have to think he's going to be a very good player. But there is a lot to consider here. And first of all, Rafael Devers is a vibe check for Buster Posey. Look, Devers' saga that has been this season, where they took him off of third base, which was his natural position, put him in DH, and then asked him to play first base, and he did not want to, has been very negative. The acrimony that's there is very real between him and the Red Sox ownership, and that's why this trade happened the way it did. So, obviously, his problem with the Boston front office is very specific to the Boston front office. The problem wasn't just moving positions. The problem was the lack of communication as the team made moves, especially with him considered the cornerstone. And, of course, the front office thinks, well, he's getting all that money. He better be doing whatever we want him to do to help the team win. So, there's that disconnect. So when he comes to the Giants clubhouse, which has had extremely positive vibes all season long, is that going to change? There are good signs that he'll be happier in San Francisco. First of all, he does have a couple of friends in Willie Adames and Big Dom Smith, both on the team. Dom Smith was a former teammate of his last year. But more so, his problem with Boston's leadership was that lack of communication. Well, Buster Posey has been prominent in the clubhouse, working with players. Everyone talks about what it's like to talk with him. So that communication should be a lot better here in San Francisco. And what's more than that, Posey's replacing a Farhan Zaidi regime that had a lot of communication problems with players. And a lot of what Posey is doing is almost overcompensating for the problems his previous president of baseball operations had. So if that's really what Devers' problem is, it should not be a problem in San Francisco, we hope. Look, I gotta also just say this on the Boston side. I get where they're coming from and saying, if you're getting paid that much money, you gotta be doing everything you can to help the team. Devers has a point that you can't just switch positions. It takes time. The Giants are doing this with Bryce Eldridge, and he's still learning first base. He's had a couple of years. He's improving, but takes time. That said, moving Devers off of third base was not a surprise. Look, I know he's played there his entire career. He hasn't necessarily been good at it, especially recently. The Red Sox mishandled that entire situation, but Devers was not exactly showing a lot of self-awareness in the situation himself. So there is a both sides here. The money is also going to be an issue, and I follow the Giants' prospects. That's the whole point of this channel. I love the prospects. Usually I hate seeing guys go, but it's hard to complain about this payout for someone like Rafi Devers. He's one of the best hitters in baseball. All the prospects and young pitchers the Giants gave up have potential. This seems like a fair deal in terms of that. The bigger question for the Giants is handling all that money. Starting next year, the Giants are going to be paying $82.2 million per year just to Willie Adames, Matt Chapman, and now Rafi Devers. That's a lot of money for 3 players. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the Giants' budget works with this. If they have to compensate in other ways, like where they're pitching, which is pretty expensive right now. Not to mention the luxury tax. And the luxury tax isn't just, the owner needs to pay more money. It also affects draft picks and the young players that the Giants can bring in. So there's a lot to look at with that. Let's just be honest. As good as Devers is, that's a real concern. And not a lot of people are talking about this because, it's the emotional side of baseball, but baseball is a business. but I feel bad for Wilmer Flores right now. Flores is a DH, and frankly, I expect that Devers is going to be the team's DH going forward. And Flores has been huge for the Giants in clutch situations. But the unfortunate truth is he's still hitting just .257, and while he comes up big in the clutch situations and is getting the RBIs, he's not necessarily coming up big in normal situations all that often. Devers is a better offensive force than Wilmer Flores, and likely simply replaces him on the roster. It's better for the Giants. It will mean more wins. But that doesn't matter. I still feel bad for Wilmer Flores, who's been a very good Giant and is in the non-sarcastic forever Giant category. On top of it all, I have to say there's a whiff of the let's get rid of Farhan Zaidi's legacy in this trade. Kyle Harrison is definitely one of the top 2 draft picks that Farhan Zaidi brought in alongside Bryce Eldridge. James Tibbs III was his last first-round pick, and definitely was the type of player that more exemplified what Zaidi wanted in a player as opposed to someone like Posey. Even Jordan Hicks, who Zaidi signed to try to turn into a starting pitcher, and I'll be honest, I'm not Zaidi's biggest fan. The Hicks move was something I loved, and I still love, even in retrospect, knowing that he's had his struggles this year. But it was a great attempt to try to make something happen, and it was pretty close to working. But all of those Zaidi legacies from this team, well, that's all moving on. And the players that are truly Zaidi players, they're getting fewer and fewer on this Giants organization. And this video is getting a bit long for my reactions anyway, so I'm just going to wrap it up. The bottom line is Buster Posey is putting his foot down. He is telling everybody else in the division, in the league, the Giants are contenders. The Giants are for real. And you have to love that if you're a Giants fan. We'll see what happens next year or in 2030 and so far down the line. But for now, you've got to love this move.